Okay, it's time once again for another Oxygen XML live event. My name is Alim Belu, and I am your permanent host for the Oxygen XML online events. And today marks our second webinar of 2024. And I'm delighted to present you the one titled Oxygen AI Positron, your helper in all stages of content creation. And in my opinion, this is a very important event if we are thinking about the current context. And that's why I want to thank you all for joining us already in great numbers. Why am I saying that this is an important event? Because over the past year, AI services such as ChatGPT have established themselves as valuable tools for content creation and review. And as I'm sure you all have noticed, with each passing month, a new advancements emerge. Among this is OpenAI's ChatGPT 4 with Vision, which can analyze images, thus presenting fresh opportunities for workflows and scenarios in the early stages of content crafting. With this dynamic backdrop, we've invited Sorin Cărbunaru, a senior software developer at Synchrosoft. You can see us both, to shed light on how AI can truly transform content creation through the lens of our own AI tool, the Oxygen AI Positron Assistant add-on, which had its version 2.0 released only 2 weeks ago. So we will have a very interesting presentation today. So let's not waste any more time, and let me share with you some quick information. The event today is being recorded as all of our events, and the recording will be made available on our site, oxygenxml.com, as well as on our YouTube channel titled simply Oxygen XML in the following days. And of course, on our site, you will also see Sorin's slides for his presentation today. Another important aspect of today's event is that as we go along, we encourage you to ask us questions because we have behind the scenes Alex Gitiano that will help us out in real time with your questions that can be addressed by using the GoToWebinar interface. And of course, we will be addressing those questions again at the end in a Q&A session for the benefit of everyone that is joining us today. So that's it for my introduction. And now I officially introduce you to Sorin Carbonaro. Hi, Sorin.
Hello, Alin. Hello, everyone, and welcome to my webinar. Thanks to Alin already taking care of the introduction. I think we can directly jump into the content of my presentation. So let's do just that. So in our agenda for today, we're going to start by me trying to show you how generative AI is already a valuable tool in content creation. Then I'm going to give you some very specific examples about how GenAI and more specifically Oxygen AI Positron Assistant can be your helper in all stages of content creation. I will mention what's new in Positron 2.0, and I'm going to demonstrate many of the new things. And then just before the Q&A time, I want to also mention some possible future directions. In my previous presentations, I argued that GenAI and technical writers live in a sort of symbiotic relationship. That means that GenAI in its training has benefited from what we humans, including technical writers, have written, and now we benefit from what generative AI can give us and how it can make us more efficient and more productive. And I think that today um, people have started already experimenting firsthand the benefits of using GenAI in creating content. And towards the end of my presentation, I have a slide uh, where I pasted a couple of links to some articles where you can read the testimony of technical writers telling how GenAI helped them in their work. Another indicator that people and companies have started to understand the benefits of incorporating GenAI in their daily work for maybe quite some time is the fact that we get frequent emails about Positron, about its capabilities, about the licensing, and so on, and we get demo requests, and that really makes me think that people understood how a valuable tool GenAI can be in content creation. And now let's see exactly how GenAI and our Positron assistant can be your helper in all stages of content creation. And for that, let's consider the 3 R's in a technical writer's working life. That is research, writing, and review. When talking about the research phase, I think we can summarize the help that GenAI can give us by saying that it provides a quick access to knowledge and ideas. And using tools such as ChatGPT or Positron, you can gather information from multiple sources in just seconds. That's because the AI models have been trained on millions and millions of resources. GenAI is also great at summarizing content. You can use it for that or for clarifying content. And this can be really helpful if you, for example, switch the product, the project that you work on. Let's say you go to work on a project that is new to you, and you want to get accustomed to that project really quick, and you can use this summarization and clarifying capabilities of GenAI for doing that, for getting familiar with the new content. Or you can brainstorm ideas and get diverse perspectives on a subject. Now, when actually writing the content, GenAI and Positron can help you by making you more efficient and more productive, and by enhancing what you can do in a specific period of time. You can use it to generate document structures and templates, or to create documentation drafts. You can use it to update the current content based on what changed in the UI. You, for example, you update the screenshot in your data topic, and then you ask the AI to change the text content based on image analyzing the new screenshot. And I'm going to demonstrate that later so you can understand me better. You can use GenAI to generate short descriptions and add them to your data topic, or to generate keywords, index terms, image captions, image titles, even alternate text for images. Or if you are describing some more abstract concepts, then you can ask the AI to give you some specific examples so that your readers can really understand what you are trying to explain. You can use Positron and GenAI to convert your content from one text format to another, for example, from plain text to data or maybe to Markdown. You can use it to magically fix validation problems. And I remember that in my previous webinar about Positron, I showed this, how you can use only the validation message and the content, give this to the AI, and it can give you back a fix. And finally, you can apply custom fixes written in natural language to your document's syntax and to the structure and to the content. For example, by using quick fixes in Schematron. And again, this is something I showed in my previous webinar, and I also have an example today. And when we think about the review phase of a technical writer's working life, Positron can help you with a swift initial review. You can use it to correct spelling mistakes and grammar mistakes. You can use it to improve the clarity, the readability, the structure of your content. Again, by using Schematron, you can apply validation rules based on natural language. And here I have a couple of examples. Let's say someone used wrong markup in the topic. For example, they used the italic element instead of using the semantically rich UI control element in data for marking up a UI element such as the title of a dialog box. And you can also fix this kind of issues. Or you can check if passive voice was used in the content instead of active voice and rephrase that. You also have the possibility using our Positron assistant to perform the same action on a collection of files, or you can write a custom prompt and run that over a collection of files. Many of our predefined actions are available in the AI-based refactoring feature. And you can also check if your content is AI ready and test how the AI understands, so to say, your content by asking questions. You feed the AI with your content, and then you have a conversation with the AI to see if you can extract the answers to the questions that your readers may have. Moving on to what's new in version 2.0 of Positron. The main addition in this version is the fact that we now use AI's vision support, and we use that when attaching images to the chat, and you can have a conversation with the AI and ask different things based on that image. You can generate documentation drafts from a short summary with a couple of instructions and a couple of screenshots, or you can update the current content based on image analysis. And we'll see that in just a couple of minutes. We added some variables to obtain the current selection with track changes being accepted or them being rejected, and you can compare these versions. We added some actions as quick assist actions, so you can quickly find them no matter what side views you have visible at that moment. We added some extra parameters to our AI XPath functions, and these parameters now allow adding a chat history for more complex interactions. You have the possibility to customize the list of available actions. We added GPT-4 Turbo as an available engine. And in our enterprise version of Positron, we added a connector for Anthropic Claude. And finally, for the plugin for Web Author, we created an enterprise edition. And if you want to learn more, my colleague Bogdan Dumitru had a webinar last week about what's new in Web Author, and he also covered what's new in Positron. So you can go to our YouTube channel, Oxygen XML, and check that webinar out as well. And that being said, it's time to demonstrate these new things, so you can grab your popcorn and enjoy the rest of the demonstration. As I mentioned, the main addition is the vision support. And let's start by taking a look at this generate documentation draft action. This action works on I call it a configuration file. You can find that if you invoke the file new action, and then here you look for draft, and we have this AI doc draft configuration file. Let's take a quick look at it. So here, this is so to say the minimum that you will need: a draft summary where you provide the information needed as a starting point, then an instruction that defines a specific task and directs the AI to meet a specific goal. And you can also attach images, and you can add as many instructions and images as you want, and you can add them in whatever order you want. And you can also add some more elements. The most important, in my opinion, from these three ones is this similar topic. And this will help the AI understand the way your team writes technical content. It sees, so to say, what elements you use, how you structure your document, and so on. And if you find it necessary, you can insert an audience to steer the AI or give a specific context. We already have, for those of you who already worked with Positron, we have this general context where you can say something like you are a technical writer assistant using data XML to document things about wind turbines. But here, for this documentation draft, you can provide a more specific context. For example, now we are working on a chapter about how to repair the gearbox, and hopefully this will help the AI give a better result. And I have a sample here in my project. So vision, generate doc draft configuration file. And here I have not too complex, but a little bit complex scenario. And the AI does a great job usually with this sample. So here in my draft summary, I used AI to summarize the topic that we have in our user guide, and I used that as a draft summary here. During my development for this feature, I also tried with the notes for the documentation team that we had in our issue tracker, and those can also be used, especially if they are well written. Then I have an instruction that each image should be added in the documentation, and the AI should present the flow of an XML operation as suggested by the following images. and the AI should document each UI element shown in these images. Then I have the list of images, each image presenting a step in performing an XML refactoring operation. Then as a sort of experiment, I said for the previous image, I wanted to see if the AI is capable to identify this previous image, and from my test, it does. And make sure to document the available options using data definition lists. So I wanted this specific instruction to use data definition lists. Another instruction to also add a note about the fact that the results can be previewed, and I asked the AI to add the following image. Again, I said the following image with this caption. Isn't it cool? And I also added another topic from our user guide. It's not really a similar topic, but I wanted some kind of sample to for the AI to see how we write content, and specifically data content, what data elements we use in our technical documentation. Now, if you already have a feature and you created a similar one, or it has a similar UI, this newer one, it's really helpful to provide the similar topic that you have in the user guide. Perhaps, for example, we have this check spelling in files and format and indent files. They have very similar UI. So if we have had check spelling in files first, and then we have had the capabilities of AI that we have today, we could have easily generated a very good documentation draft for format and indent files, because it has a very similar dialog box. But now let's see how the AI works with my sample. Let's generate a documentation draft. So this will use, I'm using the service software as a service version of Positron, and this will use OpenAI's vision support for generating an entire data topic. It's always a surprise. The result is always a surprise because, of course, GenAI is non-deterministic. But in the great majority of my tests, I got surprisingly good results, and I hope I am not cursed with the live demo effect, which always very often happens when you really perform the live demonstration. Let's see. Now I click this create document, and it seems I have been indeed cursed with this live demo curse, because somehow the AI broke my images. But taking a look here, we have some initial content about Oxygen XML refactoring editor and the XML refactoring tool. And then the AI broke my images. I bet if I try this again, it will work just fine. It usually does in my second try. Then I have all the scopes and all the filters documented, again using a definition list. I have this note that before finalizing the refactoring operation, users can preview the results. And if I had had the images, this would have been a great example. But luckily, I was smart enough to have a backup. This is another example of what the AI did in another try, and this looks better. You can see that it used the UI control here to mark up the name of the tool. I have some keywords. I have the images with image captions that were generated by the AI. All the images very nicely displayed. Here again, a definition list with each and every option documented. So this is what the AI should have returned in this live demo, but it seems that I am indeed cursed with the live demo curse. But moving on, let's also see how the AI works when trying to update the current content based on image analysis. I have another sample here. Let's hope that the curse expired. And here, another new action is this update content based on images. And in my sample, I have this screenshot where I have 5 available scopes and 4 actually options here in the options area. But let's imagine this is the new screenshot. Let's imagine just a few minutes ago I had another screenshot, and this is these are the scopes and the options that were shown in that screenshot. We only had 2 scopes and 2 options, but in the new version of format and indent files, we have some new scopes, some new options, and now if we use this action again as before, the AI will rewrite the entire topic. In this example, it should keep all the previous content and add content for the new UI elements that the AI detects in my screenshot. And it will take a few seconds for the AI to generate the entire topic, and then we will be able to preview the changes. Okay, now that it's done, let's see what it did. And this time it did a very good job, a great job. We can see that it detected all the new UI elements, the ones that were in the screenshot but were not in the text content, and it added them using the right data markup. So thank you, AI, for helping me with this example. Good job. A final example related to the vision support is related to the fact that you can attach images to the chat. Let me open another sample. Here I have a topic about this nitrogen XML editor. I have a screenshot here that doesn't have a title. And let's say we want to use AI to generate a title for this image. And using Positron, we can say something like this: generate a title for the following image. And now we use this action from here to browse for our image, select the image, and send this content to the AI. And the AI will give us a nice title for our image, and we can insert this AI generated title based on image analysis in our topic. Still related to attaching files to the chat. So we are done with the vision support, but because we talked about attaching files to the chat, I want to mention that you can also attach text files and XML files. And for example, I have saved a favorite prompt before this webinar compared to similar topics. In this sample, I have this introduction topic and this what is nitrogen XML topic. And both of them start by saying nitrogen XML editor is, and then they describe what this editor is here as well. And if I'm not the one who wrote these topics, I may wonder why on earth do we have both? Um, are they both necessary? Of course, we could take several minutes, read both of them, analyze them, compare them, and get to a conclusion. But the faster way, if we are busy enough, and most chances are that we are busy enough, the better way, the faster way is to use AI. And we can say something like this: compare introduction.theta. And again, I used this action to attach the introduction topic. Compare this and what is nitrogen XML editor. And I asked, is it worth having both topics in the user guide? So a very basic question, nothing too fancy here. And let's see what the AI says. Okay, so now it started analyzing the topics, and it seems it will consider the content, the relevance to the audience, the purpose, and it's starting analyzing all of these things, and we get some results. Both topics discuss XML editors, the target audience, purpose of inclusion, and let's wait for the final conclusion. By the way, I am using GPT-4 Turbo because it gives better results. The drawback is that GPT-4 Turbo is a little bit slower than GPT 3.5 Turbo, but I like the fact that it gives me more quality in the responses. So conclusion, including both topics in the user guide is advisable if, and here we have some things to take into account if we want to keep or not to keep both actions. But I think we can move on. So let me clear this and close the samples. I mentioned in the slide about what's new in version 2.0, the fact that we added some new variables, selection original and selection final. The first one gives us the selected content with tracked changes being rejected, and selection final, the same selection but with tracked changes being accepted. And let me show you another sample. So here, let's say I had this topic and I gave this topic to a reviewer, and that colleague of mine performed some changes here, some deletions, some additions using change tracking. And now I want to have, like another opinion. Are the changes from this colleague of mine really valuable? Was my first version better, or is this second one better? So a quick way to find out is again to use AI. And I have another prompt saved here in my favorite prompts list. And I said something like this: perform a rhetorical analysis of selection final in comparison to selection original. Enumerate the strong points, the weak points of each variant, and suggest the better one. And now I need to select the content and send this prompt to the AI. And now the AI again tells us what it will analyze. By the way, GPT-4 Turbo is very, very verbose. So people tell me that I talk a lot. They haven't talked with GPT-4 Turbo. My goodness, it's very, very verbose, but that's really helpful sometimes. Sometimes it might be annoying, but it gives, it has more quality in the answers. So let's see. it enumerated the strengths and the weaknesses of the first variant. Now it started talking about the second variant. The strengths, it's concise, it's clear. Okay, and let's wait for the conclusion. Any second now. I do have to admit that GPT 3.5 would have been much faster, but the answers are not as good. So now the conclusion and the recommendation, drum roll, both versions fulfill the purpose. And however, variant 2, that is the one that includes the changes, is the better choice due to its conciseness and clarity and so on. Okay, so we have seen how we can use these new variables, and this is just an example, and you can think of some more examples based on what you are working on. I mentioned that we added some actions as quick assist actions, and they are close to you no matter what side views you have available or what side views are visible. For example, right now I have my data maps manager available. So if I wanted to correct the grammar and spelling mistakes from this paragraph here, I would have needed to change to this and look for correct grammar. And of course, I would have gotten what I wanted. But a quicker way is to use this light bulb from here. And this is available for every block element, every paragraph, quite close to where I am. And let's say now I use correct grammar. By the way, you can see we have right now we have 3 available actions from our predefined list of actions. And you can also add your own actions if you want to. And I'm going to show you in just a minute how you can do that. And now you can see the paragraph has been selected. So this is the content that the AI will take into account, and it will rewrite this paragraph while also correcting the spelling and the grammar mistakes. And while we wait for the answer, I said that I will show you how you can add your custom actions. So we have some, we have a template here. I was quite quick. AI Positron custom action. This can be used to create a custom action. And if you want to add this custom action of yours to the quick assist list, you can use this quick assist property and set it to true. And by doing this, you will add your custom action to the actions available here in this list. Moving on, let's clear this result. I mentioned that we have enhanced our AI XPath functions to also allow a chat history. We added some extra parameters. We added the possibility for you to add some user instruction and assistant message pairs for more complex scenarios. And I hope I have a good enough example here for you to understand how you can use the new parameters. So here in my schematron file, I'm looking if a topic doesn't have a short description. If it doesn't have it, I will get a warning. And attached to this report, I have a quick fix to generate. I said here, generate the best short description. Why I said the best short description? Because I don't ask the AI to simply generate a short description. Instead, I ask it to generate 3 of them and then analyze each of them, um, give 3 strong points, 3 weak points, compare these advantages and disadvantages, and then choose the best of these 3. And I do this in 3 steps every time using this transform content function. So first, I give this instruction, provide 3 variants of summarizing the given topic, and I give the content here, and I save the result in this variable. Then in the second step, I ask the AI to enumerate 3 strong points and 3 weak points for each of the given text variants. So here I use the result from the previous step and I provide a new instruction. And in my third step, I ask the AI to choose the best variant. And here I have the instruction. Let's start from the beginning. It's better this way. So I have a new instruction. I task the AI to choose the best short description. I tell it that I will give 3 variants. I will give the strong points and weak points of each variant. And I tell it to choose the best short description among these 3 variants based on the advantages and disadvantages. And I also tell it to don't try to generate a new one. I want one of these 3, just for the sake of this example. And then after providing this more complex set of instructions, I add a sort of chat history. I provide a user message, an assistant message, a user message, and another assistant message. The first pair is related to the 3 variants. The second pair will give the advantages and disadvantages. And then at the end, I give the entire topic content. So let's see how this works in, not this one, because this already has a short description, this one. So this topic doesn't have a short description. And if I try to validate this topic using those functions that we have seen in the schematron file, the validation will take a little bit longer than usual because the AI has to generate all those 3 short descriptions and then compare those short descriptions and so on. And now we got the warning. Actually, now is the moment where the generation will be performed and the comparison will be performed. So I get the message that the short description is missing, and we try to generate the best short description. And again, this will take a while. Also because I'm using GPT-4 Turbo, and as I mentioned, it's slower than GPT 3.5 Turbo. But if you want quality, you have to pay for that. And while we wait for the answer, let me show you what happens in the back. So the same things that I have done here in schematron, I have done in an XSLT style sheet as well. And I applied this transformation over a data topic. And this is the logging that I got from my style sheet. So what happens in the back again using GPT-4 Turbo is the following. So we have this, okay, so now we have the short description, but let's continue analyzing this for quite for a few seconds. We have the initial instruction to generate 3 variants. Here we have our 3 variants, 1, 2, 3, about what nitrogen XML editor is. Then we ask for strong points, weak points, each of the variant, strong points, weak points. And at the end, we ask the AI to choose the best one. And by analyzing all the variants, the strong points, the weak points, it gives me the text that will be used for the short description. And this text offering robust validation and conversion tools is actually variant number 3, offering robust validation and conversion tools. And here we have our results. So now we have, let's say, the best short description based on what we have asked the AI to take into account. We have also added a few things in the preferences. I mentioned the fact that you can add some actions to be excluded from the list of the predefined actions if you want to customize that list. For example, we had someone who didn't want to have the translation actions available for their team because they were using some other translation services. And now you can come here to the preferences, use this menu, look for the action that you want to exclude. For example, let's say we want to exclude short description from here because we have our quick fixes and we apply this. And if we look here in the list, content generation, we don't have that action anymore. So you can add actions to this filter and customize the list. I mentioned that we have added GPT-4 Turbo as an available engine. Before this version, we had the preview model, GPT-4 Turbo Preview. Now we have the final model from OpenAI. And one more thing, and for that I have to switch to another installation of Oxygen. We have added in the Enterprise Edition of Positron a connector for Anthropic Claude. We had OpenAI, Azure OpenAI, and now we have Anthropic Claude. And once you configure this connector by providing the endpoint and the API key, the model, if we write something simple like "Who are you?", it will answer something like "I am Claude." So we can see now that we are using the Claude connector. And this concludes my demonstration. So let's go back to the slides and see a few possible future directions. We are considering adding more AI services, creating more connectors, for example, for Mistral or Llama, Hugging Face, Amazon Bedrock, or whatever is out there. And if you have suggestions, if you use something that you find helpful, we have our ears always open to your suggestions because we want to help you and meet your needs. We also started experimenting with function calling. OpenAI has this feature, and for example, if you if you ask the AI to explain a paragraph from a topic, it might be helpful to also provide the entire topic to the AI so it can better, quote unquote, understand that topic. And you can use function calling for that, and the AI will, so to say, feel when it needs some more context and call the function that gives the entire topic. We also we are taking into account adding some kind of Copilot features. So what GitHub has in their Copilot for developers, we try to come up with something similar for technical writers. We still need to analyze and brainstorm and so on, but you do something in a paragraph, and then you move to another paragraph, and the AI may say, hey, I see you did this in the previous paragraph. Do you want to do the same thing here? I can help you with that, something like that. And another very important direction, because we first started developing the add-ons for the standalone products, the web author plugin misses some of the features, and we want to bring the missing features to the Positron plugin for the web author as well, and uh, decrease the gap between the standalone and the web author plugins. I have a few links here to articles where you can read about how AI has helped other technical writers, links to previous webinars of mine and of Alex's, and the documentation for the AI Positron Assistant. And finally, at the bottom, I have a link where you can try the web author on our website, and this instance of web author also has the Positron add-on installed, and you can play it with it there. And that concludes my entire presentation. Thank you for bearing with me until now, and now it's time for answering your questions. So Alex, can you help us in this section, please?
Hello, Sorin. Thank you for this thorough presentation. Can you hear me well?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so we had quite a few questions, and I tried to keep up to them and answer them, but a lot of them came right near the end, so I'll answer them live actually. So one question goes, does AI Positron work if your content is managed by a CCMS and you use an authoring bridge? And the answer is yes, because Positron works with and on the content from the opened editor. So this authoring bridge allows just that, to open documents from the CCMS directly into an Oxygen editor. And afterwards, Positron will be able to work on that content. Of course, if the CCMS has an integration with the desktop, with the standalone distribution of Oxygen, then you will work like you've seen Sorin in the Oxygen XML author, for example. If the CCMS has an integration with our web author, then you will use the web author distribution of Positron, the one that we had a webinar a week or 2 weeks ago. So there's a recorded webinar about that as well, and Sorin mentioned it earlier. Another question, for the images, can you get the AI to generate alternate text? And the answer is yes, the AI can read images and generate alternate text. Now, I was a bit occupied with answering all these questions. Sorry, did you presented the Schematron quick fix that generates an alternate text?
No, I
Mhm.
didn't have a quick fix for generating alternate text. No.
Yes, so we have some samples with that,
Sorry,
and
I used an instruction in the chat to generate an image
Mhm.
title, which is a little bit
Pretty
similar.
much there,
Yeah.
yes. And so right now, yes, you can do it like that. And in the next version of Positron, which will be released in a couple of weeks, we also want to add a dedicated action, like an action that you click and say generate the alternate text, and we'll do it for you, and you will afterwards say update document, and we'll update the document with the alternate text. Another question: if you have created variables for all UI elements using keys, will the AI recognize these and use them? So this is an interesting use case, one that we want to explore maybe with the functions support. But even right now, if you create a custom action or a prompt that receives this list of variables, then the AI will be able to do that for you. But it's something that probably will be the developers of Positron and Oxygen will be able to do it more easily, because we have access to all these keys. We know them, and we can get them from the data map, and we can feed them to the AI. So you don't have to do that yourself, but it is something that it is possible. And we will investigate this in our next releases. What types of images does this support? It's probably it's related with the vision support um, from OpenAI, that it's able to understand images. Are the image size allocations, do they have to be images rather than screen captures? And afterwards, Snagit is mentioned as a tool for doing these screen captures and putting highlights and arrows. And the current supported image types are PNGs, JPEGs, and non-animated GIF. And the AI has an algorithm that kind of decides how to process these images. So if they have a it does downscaling automatically, or if he decides that it will lose details by downscaling, it will crop them into multiple tiles and analyze those. So it's quite smart on that. And right now, from within Positron, you must have these images saved in one of these formats, but we want to add this support, just to copy paste a snapshot and um, to be processed automatically. But for the current Positron release, we just didn't have enough time to do this as well.
Alex, sorry
Mhm.
for interrupting you. And if I remember well, if you use OpenAI, they have you can only upload an image that has a maximum of, I think, 20 megabytes or something like that. So there's a limit to the size of the image in that way.
Okay, thanks. So another question is related to adding some restrictions on what fonts and colors to use in the published output or in the PDF. And this is that I don't have an answer for this, as um, now Positron analyzes the source document or data documents, how these look like when you publish. It's a different layer that it's not related with the content. I guess you could run some AI on other resources like CSS files, or and identify if um, the wrong font is being used. But is not something that we've explored, at least not yet. Another question, could I use the assistant to generate a custom action? We have used ChatGPT to generate Java code. So custom actions, I'm not sure if this is a positron action, or maybe this question was asked when Sorin presented the schematron part, but the answer is yes, you could create a custom prompt, a custom action using the AI. Of course, if this is related to Oxygen action format, then the AI doesn't know this format. You'll have to give it some examples, but it's doable. Is what you have shown built in, or is the customer required to build it? So most of what Sorin presented, it's built in, so you'll have it out of the box. What needs to be built is the part of using AI inside your schematron rules. So usually schematron is being used to automate a style guide, a set of rules from within a company. So these schematron files were developed by each company. And if you want to add AI power to those schematron, then you need to edit the schematron files and to use these two functions that Sorin presented, the validate content and the transform content. But other than that, everything it's being built in. Could the future use of function support provide a way to possibly use a Jira epic or bug fix description in a particular Jira ticket, or perhaps a Confluence page content? That's interesting. I know that the person that asked this question has experimented a lot with Jira and the content that is being put there. And actually, this create draft topic that Sorin presented, we intend to further work on it, and being able to generate it automatically out of the content from within a Jira ticket, because inside the Jira ticket, the developers put a lot of information about the workflows and documentation notes and screenshots. So everything that is there and can be brought together in this draft template that Sorin presented, and afterwards automatically generate a documentation draft. So yeah, so I'll add this idea on our function support epic, and we'll see. It would directly query Jira or Confluence through their own REST API to get the text. Yes, it's related with this. Or as an alternative, allow us to write a JavaScript function that does this and allow it to be called as a function. So a lot of ideas on how to use this function support to empower positron actions. Okay, so yes, thank you again for being present and paying attention and asking all these questions. And Sorin, back to you, or Aline, if you want to take it over.
Yes, I will take over from here. Thank you again, Alex, for helping us out with our audience's questions. Now let's switch our cameras again so we can see each other, because we are in the final stretch of this presentation. Again, thank you, Sorin, for a great presentation, and of course to our great audience. Now I shared right now the event page, as you can see here, because I want to remind everyone joining us today that the recording will be made available in the following days on this page, along with Sorin's presentation slides. And of course, our YouTube channel is there for you, along with our former webinars and great library of tutorials and use cases for you to use. Now let's go back to to my slides, because I want to tell you that this series, this first webinar series of 2024 was a short one, but a really interesting one. And we will continue in 2 weeks with web author customizations, getting started. This is a great webinar for beginners that will be presented by our colleague, Mihaela Kalotescu. And it will take place in 2 weeks from now. And if you're looking to integrate Oxygen XML Web Author into your existing XML workflow, we invite you to join us for this insightful webinar, where we'll walk you through the initial steps to maximize the potential of Oxygen XML Web Author within your workflow. So this webinar will actually act as a great companion to the webinar that we had 2 weeks ago, because it's again focusing on web author. So I definitely encourage you to join us again in 2 weeks. And of course, you can take a look at our events page, where you can also find the links to register for free to all of our online events. And of course, to find out where the Oxygen XML team will be next in person, so you can meet and greet with us at the future conferences. And in closing, I already thanked everyone that participated today, but why not let me thank you again for joining us to this webinar. And of course, thank you, Sorin. If you have some parting words with us.
Yeah, thank you for being here, and I hope that my webinar was helpful, because I always try to do something that you find helpful and interesting, and yeah, using real world use cases, so you can get the idea.
And of course, watch out for the next version of Positron that Alex mentioned will be released in the near future. So with this being said, I want to say goodbye to you all, and see you in 2 weeks to our next webinar. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.